the end of the story. And so you see Anansi trying to be clever. And sometimes we're like that, trying to be so clever. But actually, God has given us everything we need to do the things we need to do. And what God was trying to show him was that you're smart enough to figure out how to do all these things, and yet you think you don't have enough wisdom. And so we can learn from Anansi and go to your library and get a whole lot of other Anansi stories. There are so many of them. Well, I have another story for you. And this story is from Cameroon. Anyone from Cameroon out there, you're not forgotten, even though your country might not be as big as others. And this story teaches us a great lesson. This story is called The Feast, and it is about another chief. And this chief decided to throw a huge party. Huge. He invited everyone in the village. And he told the women to cook the food the way he knew they knew how to. And he told the men to bring the wine. Well, the day came. They were so excited. Everyone was cooking. There was rice, there was beans, there was pounded yam, there was spinach stew, there was peanut stew, there was all kinds of plantains and all kinds of yams and all kinds of fruits and all kinds of vegetables. It was so exciting. And the kids were the most excited. Well, the parents had to get dressed, in their finery. They had their head ties tied high. Their men had their robes and all kinds of lace and all kinds of woven fabric with sparkles and diamonds and gold threads on it, and everyone was ready. Well, children were being sent to the palace. Mothers were putting food on children's heads. Go to the palace. Kids were running with it on their heads to the pot, got to the palace. Put it over there, you go over here, you here. There was noise everywhere. People were charging here and there, trying to make sure everything was spick and span. Oh, there was excitement. Now, in one particular house sat a husband and a wife. Their children had gone on to the palace. The mother was ready. She had her head tie on, and she had the last of the food that she was going to take. And she headed out the door. And she looked, and there was her husband sitting there. She says, "Come on, we've got to go." And he said, "I was just thinking." She says, "No, you don't have time to think right now." He said, "No, I want to make a point." He says, "We don't have time. The party has already started. Why do you have to think now?" "Well," he says, he said, "Listen, I can't listen to it right now. I'm on my way to the party. Follow me." And off she went and left him sitting there. And what he had been thinking about, he could only talk to himself now. He said, I don't see why the chief has a party and the women have to cook and the men bring the wine. I mean, he's the richest person here. I mean, at least he could supply the wine. I'm not taking wine, he decided. I'm going to take water. And who will know that my little calabash is full of water? Nobody. I'm not taking wine. And so he filled his calabash with water, and he headed off to the palace in all his flowing robes. Well, when he got there, everybody was excited. Hey, you are, man. He said, "How you doing? How's the wife? How's the children? How's everything going?" Oh, there was excitement here and there. "Yes, man, it's going to be a great party." They said, "It's going to be a wonderful party. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a wonderful time." The men all sat around, and after a while, the chief came out. And he arrived, and they all greeted him. "Oh, long live the king! Long live the king!" they all said. And he sat down on his throne. And he says, "Now the party's going to start." He says, "Thank you all my people for coming. It's going to be a wonderful day. We're going to have a fabulous party," he said. He says, "Now I want my servants to come and bring the wine. Everyone is to be served. Everyone come around and serve each person their own wine." Well, the man who had brought the water had come, and his was just really tiny, and he had put it into the pot with all the other wine in there full up, and No one had noticed that he had water in his. Well, when it was time to be served and everyone was being served their wine, they said, yes, man, yeah, it's going to be a great party. It's going to be a wonderful party. We're going to be here the rest of the night. That's right. We're going to party. And the chief said, all right, everyone. All right, pay attention. Everyone now is to toast. Everyone is going to toast to this wonderful town, to the wonderful people here, to the wonderful party we're going to have. He said, absolutely, absolutely, to our town, they all said. And they lifted up their pots and everyone took a sip. There was something wrong with it, but nobody wanted to say anything. Yes, wonderful town, they said, and took another sip because something was very wrong with the wine. And when they sipped again, they realized that every man in the village had decided they weren't going to bring the wine. And every man had brought water. And so that's what they drank. And so there's a proverb in Cameroon, in this village, that says, what you bring to the feast is what you're going to drink. And so surely we see here today that the man brought water. Unfortunately, all the men brought water, and that's what they had to drink. And whatever you bring to your community or your family or your school is what you're going to drink. If you bring a happy spirit, and if you bring enthusiasm, and if you want to help, well, there will be help. People will be helped and there'll be happiness because you're there with it. Everyone has to bring their little bit. Just imagine if you're a singer and you're on stage and you sing a beautiful song and no one claps because they think, well, I'll let that person clap. I am not going to be bothered, even though she sung well. Well, how will you know you did a good job if no one claps? And so that's what we learned from this story from Cameroon. And they have that wonderful proverb that what you bring to the feast is surely what you're going to drink. Well, I've had a great time with you today, and it's been fun. Many of you see me just talking to audiences, but many of you do not know, who I am. We've had a couple of shows with that, but I am Princess Ayo, and many children want to know, are you a real princess? And so I will explain that I am a real princess. My grandfather was the king of our town, and my father was the prince. He was supposed to be the king, but he didn't want it because he was a doctor, and he was a Christian, and he knew the people in the town at that time were not Christians, and he would have to do rituals that he didn't want to be involved in. So he decided he wouldn't be. But once you're part of the royal family, you always are, and so here I am, a princess for you. So you never know who you're talking to. You may just think that's somebody from Africa or someone from some country, and then find out they may be part of the royal family too, where they are. Well, my town today, I'm happy to say, has lots of different people in it. It's huge. It's almost a city. It's so big. Those days it was really small, but lots of people in it are Christians. A lot of people in it are Muslims, and it's big, it's huge, it's fun. It's got a big highway that runs through it, so it's got a lot of hustle and bustle, and a lot of people from Nigeria know the town. So I'm going to say the town of Egbe is where I'm from. So if you're ever in Nigeria, get on that highway from Lagos all the way to the north, and sure enough, you'll pass through my town. It has red clay on the ground. You'll tell. You can see it's different from other soil. And it has a red clay on it, and you'll know you're getting close to the great town of Egbe. So I'm glad I was able to be here with you today. And stay tuned, because we'll have another interesting show next time on Africa's Vision Network.